Hey guys, welcome to WDWNT Nerd Alert. I'm your host, Joe Hogarty, and joining me tonight is Jack McCarthy.
Howdy, folks.
So on tonight's show, we are up to the finals of the Marvel DC March Madness. Actually, we're up to the final 8. Then we're going to do the final 4 tonight, and then we're going to do the final 2, and then finally crown a champion that hopefully everyone will be happy with.
And if you're not, send us an email.
Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Charlie and I are also going to review episode 3 of The Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I'm going to hear what Jack thought about episode 2. And we'll go over the latest news and answer the listener email. Answer the latest listener email. That sounds better. So I wanted to tell you, Jack, I watched Godzilla versus Kong. Did you see that?
I have not gotten a chance to watch it yet.
I will say, I love the battles. They were unbelievable. There's a battle in Hong Kong with Kong and Godzilla at night. Incredible. It just looks so amazing in 4K and Dolby Vision. It's probably the best looking thing I've seen so far on my new TV. And I've watched it a few times.
Oh, very good. So is that good that you watched it?
Well, no, I'm just watching that first scene a few times.
Oh, okay.
It's like the Zack Snyder's Justice League. Fast forward is your friend, your remote control. Because everything that has humans in it sucks. It sucks so bad. And that's what they don't get with these movies is people just want to see the monsters. I think they would be okay if there was no human interaction and you just saw the monsters walking, maybe him like hurting himself and trying to heal him or something like that. But if we could just get a movie with 45 minutes or maybe 50 minutes to an hour of just monsters going at it, I think that would make so much money. It's the humans just ruin it. Like that girl from Stranger Things is in it. Like she was in the other Godzilla King of Monsters. She's horrible.
I got, we disagree there, but I mean, I liked Godzilla King of the Monsters. And I think part of it also came from the big screen experience. I'm sure if it's like you're saying, I'm sure Godzilla versus King Kong has got to be awesome for those monster fights.
Oh, yeah, it is.
That's how I saw Godzilla King of the Monsters. And when the monsters were fighting, I think you had said it was a little boring. It felt a little flat. Looking up at these monsters fighting adds a whole different element versus watching it on TV.
If you could see that in an IMAX, and just that and not the human interaction, it would be bliss. It just looks incredible. There's 3 fights, basically. We saw the one with, they show a lot in the trailers when they're on the aircraft carrier.
Right.
And then we see a glimpse of when they're in Hong Kong at night. And then there's another one that I won't spoil. Okay. But it's so cool when they fight. But like I said, it's the humans that always ruin these movies. And I think that it's either they're spending a lot of money on the special effects, and maybe for some of the actors that they bring in there. But damn, I wish they would spend some money on writing, because could you just imagine if this was a well-written movie along with all of these fantastic battles? It would just be so awesome. It just sucks that we can't get that. But I definitely suggest you watch it. Don't turn it off, even if you get completely bored, because there's like about 3 or 4 different side stories going on with humans.
Well, I mean, I usually don't turn it off. What happens is it's the sleep test.
Yeah.
It'll put me to sleep. Like the Snyder cut. That tells me this is just not the movie for me.
Well, good news. This is less than 2 hours, so I think you'll be able to get through it. But yeah, I would definitely check that one out. Let's see here. All right, I guess let's get into the news. So the cast of the Obi-Wan series was announced, and we also got a synopsis for the series. So the official synopsis is, the story begins 10 years after the dramatic events of Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, where Kenobi faced his greatest defeat, the downfall and corruption of his best friend and Jedi apprentice, Anakin Skywalker, turning to the evil Sith Lord Darth Vader. That's all we have right now. So what do you think about that? Do you think that's a good starting point?
don't know where they're going to go with it. It sounds like, he's following the downfall of his former friend and apprentice. Is he just watching the news or something? I don't know. I mean, I would imagine with, the Empire wiping out the Jedi and all of these sweeping political changes across the landscape, I can't imagine it not being on, the news. I don't know how hanging out in the desert he's going to really follow it otherwise. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it because, as we've talked before about these shows, Disney is spending a lot of money on these programs, and they look terrific, where I think they'd even hold up on the big screen effect-wise. So I'm hoping that this is going to be just as good as The Mandalorian. Only high hopes for their success.
No, me too. Well, one thing I took from this is Luke has got to be 10 years old. So we'll probably see a 10-year-old Luke interact with Obi-Wan at some point. Again, because he knows of a Ben Kenobi. So they probably have come across at times, maybe he meets with Ben, Lars and stuff like that.
Well, I do like that they got the actors from Revenge of the Sith back to play them.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. So I'm looking at the list. So the list, of course, we got Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, which I'm kind of glad they're giving him a second chance because I kind of felt bad for him. I think if he had a better director, he would have done a better job as Anakin Skywalker.
I think if Lucas had handed off the directing responsibilities to someone else, I think everybody would have a much different opinion of the sequels.
Oh yeah, me too.
Prequels.
And he's not like, I know you don't like when I bring this up. He's not like Ray Fisher, where Ray Fisher is like blaming everything on the director and everything. Hayden Christensen just accepted what happened. He was quiet about it. You didn't hear boo about him. He just went on to live his life and said, oh, well, we all tried and that was it. And I was actually looking forward to seeing him in The Rise of Skywalker, but they cut out his role. So it's kind of good that he's given a second chance. And I think he's going to do a good job. I do think we're going to see more flashbacks because it kind of doesn't make sense for him to play Darth Vader because he's going to be under the hood most of the time.
Well, yeah, that's part of it. I mean, let's face it, how much emoting aside from the voice work could you do as Darth Vader? I mean, all the emotion came out of James Earl Jones' voice. Otherwise he was just this huge lumbering physical presence, to scare the heck out of anybody who had to come up against him. But to get any sort of depth in emoting, it would have to come from the voice work. And, I'm sure if they show Vader in the mask, they'll have James Earl Jones or someone impersonating him doing the voice. So I think we'll see flashbacks. You won't see him as a Force ghost, obviously, because he's still alive. So it's got to be a flashback. And, I think it will be good to see him back. And like I said, we'll see more out of him if he has a better director that will let him act. As I said before with the prequels, the problem with the prequels is you had such a great cast and the director wouldn't let them act. They were just like little figures he would move around.
Well, he wouldn't direct them either.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. He didn't want them. I mean, let's face it, Samuel L. Jackson going full on in a Star Wars movie would have just been wild to see. But instead, he was Mace Windu. And yes, well, I scowl a lot. I really don't do much else. It's just, there was such a great cast and such great potential there. And unfortunately, it was a missed opportunity.
Well, I think Samuel L. Jackson in that movie. I think he was a little miscast, or again, Lucas didn't direct him properly because all he was Samuel L. Jackson. I never bought him as Mace Windu. I just felt like it was Samuel Jackson with his head shaved and clean shaven. Because he had the same attitude that he normally has, like in interviews and other movies and stuff like that. He's kind of like a one-trick pony, except I really liked him in Django Unchained. He did a little bit of more acting in that. He was a different character in that, but I would say for the most part, he kind of plays himself. But we love him for that, though.
Well,
Not in Star Wars.
He does. I mean, look at the different kind of character he played in The Kingsman.
Yeah, I liked him.
He was that wacky, over the top, but the same thing. If he played Mace Windu like he played Nick Fury, he would have come off as a lot cooler as the Jedi.
Yeah, he stinks as Nick Fury too. I mean, he basically is playing himself as Nick Fury. I mean, I don't see a difference between Nick Fury and Mace Windu at all.
Oh, I see a huge difference between them.
Other than facial hair.
Huh?
Other than facial hair and a patch.
No. And the eye patch. No, I mean, Nick Fury is a down to business guy, and he just is much more forceful and aggressive than Mace Windu is. And I don't know, we could go all over it.
Yeah, I guess we can. But so you were saying that they brought back some of the cast from the prequels. So Joel Edgerton, now is he the guy that plays Uncle Lars? I guess so. I'm assuming.
Yeah, well, I didn't recognize a lot of names on the cast actually, so I started looking at them, and like when I looked at them, I can't tell you the actor's name, but I'm like, wait, that's Uncle Owen, that's Aunt Beru.
I'm pretty sure that is him.
Yeah, and that's what the article confirmed that they were returning as their roles. So, like I said, it's a nice continuity way it rolls. The fact that we'll see them, well, they've aged probably a little bit more than 10 years, but life's hard on Tatooine. Well, but it's a nice touch that Disney went back and got them to come back for this show.
Yeah.
Even if no matter how big the part is, it's just a nice continuity that Disney is spending to do a callback to the prequels, that instead of recasting them, they got the same people.
I'm sure they're about age appropriate, by about give or take 10 years, So I think that they'll probably look the part.
No, that's what I'm saying. They probably look about 10 years older than they probably should, but I mean.
Makeup does wonders. The
aging effects on Uncle Owen.
No, I don't think they need to do that.
I'm kidding. I don't think they're going to go that route. Yeah. But no, I mean, like I said, seeing them back, I thought was a nice touch on Disney's part rather than recasting.
But what's interesting, I looked up to see what movies these people were in, because a lot of these, the only one name that I recognized was Joel Edgerton. He was in The Great Gatsby and he was in Zero Dark 30. So he's done a couple of good movies.
How was he in Gatsby?
He was Tom. He was married to Daisy, who was it Michelle? I forget her name.
You know what? I can't picture him. I saw the movie, and I just can't picture the guy.
Well, he killed Gatsby at the end. He was like, and he was having the affair with the other girl and stuff like that. He was one of the main characters. Yeah. He was the husband,
right?
Of the one Leonardo DiCaprio's Gatsby was in love with the wife.
I remember the character. I don't remember the actors.
It was cool though. I thought he was good. Yeah, Bonnie Pace is Beru Lars from the prequels, like you said. Moses Ingram, she's a new actress, and I don't know where the hell she's from. I think she's done some TV or something like that. Kamali Nanjiani. Now he's in the Eternals, and he's one of the guys that got really built like Chris Pratt. Like people were amazed at like what his body looks like now. Let's see here. Indira Varma was in Exodus Gods and Kings, which I've never seen, Rome, and Game of Thrones. So she's probably got that kind of almost like.
Her, yes. She was from that southern continent that her brother got killed by the mountain. Remember the infamous head squash? Oh, no, you didn't watch it, did you?
No, didn't watch any of that stuff.
Oh, well, just he was good on that, and she was very good as well.
Rupert Friend, he was in Pride and Prejudice, which I really liked that movie, the one with Keira Knightley. And he played Mr. Wickham, which was a bad guy. So I kind of wonder if he's going to be a bad guy in this. O'Shea Jackson Jr., he played Ice Cube in Straight Outta Compton. Sung Kang, he was in the Fast and the Furious movies. Simone Kessel was in that Hercules TV series with Kevin Sorbo.
Who'd she play?
I don't know, And I don't know if he's the director or not. Benny Safdie, he directed Uncut Gems. That was an Adam Sandler movie that I think came out in 2019. It's nominated for Oscars and stuff like that. So, yeah, that could be cool. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
All right.
So, did you watch the Bad Batch trailer?
No, I didn't.
No. All right, we'll go quick with that one.
Go quick with that one. I know you're not a fan of the Bad Batch. I liked that arc in the Clone Wars, the last season. So I'll be watching it. It's just this week I haven't had much of a chance to get on and watch much on the computer. So,
well, I watched the trailer, and basically what we saw the Bad Batch, and there's a kid with them now too. I can't tell if it's a boy or a girl. I only watched it once. But it's almost like they're throwing in a kid there to get the kid appeal, that he kind of like hangs out with them and travels with them on their adventures. I think Tarkin is in it. I forget who the hell else is in it, but yeah, I couldn't be less interested in it. It's just, I was not a fan of that series. I'm not a fan of the animation. I'll still watch it. Hopefully it'll be good. And then that big goofball, I keep forgetting his name. He's like the Hulk-like creature in those misfits of clones.
Well, he probably brought the kid in to be that audience-based character.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Gee, why are you doing this? Well, you see in the Clone Wars, we did this. So it's somebody to work an info dump in or explain what's going on. So that could be the reason they have the kid in.
Could be. But yeah, we'll see. I think that premieres May 4th.
For
Star Wars Day.
Yep.
So this was interesting news. I didn't even know he was working. John Romita Jr. is returning to Marvel. Did you hear that?
He is? No. That's great.
Yeah. So he's been working at DC. He's been working at DC.
He's been working at DC. He did some Batman work. He did some Superman work. However, I don't think he's the right fit. I didn't really like his work at DC. I love the work he did on Spider-Man. He's up there with one of the definitive Spider-Man artists.
He does a good Spider-Man, yeah.
Yeah, but his Superman and Batman, I didn't quite. I don't think it was as good of a fit. When, especially in Batman, they do a much grimmer, realistic sort of art. His style, even though it's not cartoony, like what's his name, Ramos, it still doesn't kind of fit that style that we've seen in DC in general, much less they're two of their main heroes. But no, I'm excited. That's great. I didn't know he was coming back. That's good news.
Yeah, no, he released a statement. He said, "I've been very fortunate more than a few times in my life, and now I can add this latest event to that list that I've returned to Marvel, the company that I started my career in, and I couldn't be more than thrilled.
Did they say what title he's coming on?
They're trying to make it as a surprise, but they say
Okay.
it's going to be something big, so we can only assume it's probably Spider-Man,
I don't know. I'm slowly catching up on Spider-Man.
I got to tell you though, I was never really a fan of him. I liked his father more.
Well, his dad is one of the legends. He's up there with Kirby, which is that's just a whole different playing field. But no, Romita Jr. he's very good. He has the way he does panel layouts and the way his characters interact. His style might not be as realistic, but if a movie was filmed using his angles, it would be like, wow, this is terrific. Some people say like Snyder is a cinematographer versus, a director. Romita is like that. He knows how to set up a panel. He knows how to do storytelling where he adds enough emotion in there so you can get invested in the story, in the scenes from panel to panel. It's not just, a figure standing there and a word balloon. He does add a nice touch of emotion to his artwork. So he's very good. He might not, like you said, like his dad or George Perez, those guys are just in a different league of their own. But he's definitely at the top of his weight class, for lack of a better term.
My problem with him was back in the 90s, I was a big Punisher fan. And he started to get popular in the 90s, and they did that movie with John Travolta and all that stuff. They had two different Punisher comics. They had the Punisher and then the Punisher War Journal. Mm-hmm. And then they decided to come out with, I think, the Punisher War Zone. And he started doing the art for that. And I thought it was horrible. I think he does better with masked characters, but when he, like you said, like Superman, I haven't even seen what he did for Superman. I could just imagine what it looks like. His looks are very blocky. They don't look.
There is a blockiness from his earlier stuff. He's only gotten better with age, but I know what you're saying, where he sometimes is better with characters in masks. Because it's the movement of the characters as well that he does very well. And it's a little bit of a different style. It's not for everybody's, but I mean, he just keeps getting better, with the right characters. Like he's drawn fight scenes of Spider-Man where Spider-Man is fighting somebody and he is able to denote how fast Spider-Man moves. Like you see Spider-Man hitting the guy like 25 different times, and Spider-Man is drawn hitting him 25 different times, where he's blurred and, the swipe this way might lead into a fist that way. And he does some great work. But like I said, that style doesn't fit every character. He also does the grandiose very well. His run on Thor was terrific. He was able to catch the scale of that bigger than Earth setting. When he drew Asgard, he was really great. When he drew some of those large hulking monsters like Mangog that Thor would fight, he really got the size of these characters, and you could almost feel them lumbering the way he drew them, that they weren't just standing there or, kind of just move a little. He really was able to note the size and the way these creatures would move that are, you know, if a monster 50 feet tall is trying to catch you, he gets that sense of scale right. Some artists can't handle it. I forget who it was that was drawing Spider-Man, and Spider-Man was fighting Doc Ock. And the sense of scale went out the window, where Doc Ock is supposed to be in a robotic life-preserving pod, you know, that he's old and this is what's keeping him together. Well, they would go for these shots and you'd see Spider-Man this big and Doc Ock's head like this big in the background. So somehow when Doc Ock was in this life pod, his head became 5 feet tall. You know, when you look at Romita's artwork, that scaling issue doesn't happen. Comics is a visual medium, and, you know, a lot of times portray strength and menace. You know, they make some characters bigger. That size becomes part of what makes them strong, what makes them a menace. He conveys that strength, that menace, without having to resort to that size scale sort of thing. Like I said, Romita's great. I'm looking forward to seeing him. I just don't think he was the right fit for DC.
They released, or Marvel released, a basically an image of all. You know, he did a recent image of his work of Captain America, Spider-Man. I think the Eternals are in there, the Fantastic Four. It's pretty cool. I'll send it to you, and I'll post it here too. It was interesting. I didn't realize this. At the age of 13, he actually created the Prowler for.
Really? No,
Iron
I did
Man.
not know that.
Yeah, I guess his father was writing it at the time. Was it 69?
Yeah, his father was on Spider-Man at that point.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. And I never realized he's done everybody. I can't think of one person that he hasn't done. Although I haven't, I mean, I mostly know him from Spider-Man and the Punisher, but he really, when I looked at all of his portfolio, I don't think he hasn't done anybody, you know? So,
well, I mean, when you handle certain characters, you automatically open the door to a huge library of characters that you can draw. For example, he did a run on X-Men. No, he did a run on, well, he did a run on X-Men. He also did a run on Wolverine. I don't know if you remember that old Enemy of the State storyline with Wolverine.
I do think I remember him doing Wolverine, though.
Right. Well, here it is. Wolverine went after everybody. So during that, he went after Avengers. He went after the FF. He went after S.H.I.E.L.D. And when you, a character that's in a story like that, that's branching out over so much of the Marvel universe, you're right. He gets a chance to draw everybody. I think he has pretty much.
Yeah, X-Men, Fantastic Four, Avengers, anybody. You just name him. He's done it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, next story. Final story. So you've heard the whole thing where the people spoke and they wanted to release the Snyder Cut. That was the whole thing that was trending on Twitter. And so eventually Warner Brothers buckled and they gave Snyder another chance. So the latest thing that's trending on Twitter is restore the Snyderverse, where they want to give him complete control to all of DC and have the Snyderverse come back, you know, Superman from Man of Steel, everything from Justice League and all that stuff. And so here's my problem. Well, first with that, it kind of annoys me that they did buckle Warner Brothers, because you and I kind of agree he's good in some ways, but he's not good for everything. Like Superman, he just doesn't get. Batman, he gets. But that they gave him a second chance because these people on social media were pressuring Warner Brothers really has always annoyed me. It's kind of like if you're a mother and your kid wants a cookie and you say, well, no, you're spoiling your dinner if you have a cookie. And then he goes on Twitter and tweets like, my mother's so unfair. I'm starving. It was like an hour before dinner. I just want a cookie. And then everyone's like, release the cookie, you know, to the mother. And the mother goes, all right, you can have a cookie. You don't do that. And Warner Brothers shouldn't do that crap either with their fans, you know? And it's like
strange house you grew up in.
you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like
My apologies to Mrs. Hogarty. She is a wonderful one.
She made good cookies too. But yeah, but that's the whole thing is that I don't like how social media has such an effect. It's almost like bullying in a way because they were even like Warner Brothers executives are receiving death threats too over this. And it's
well, that's crazy. Whenever people get to that point,
yeah,
you got to say, hey, time out, guys. Let's be a little bit reasonable.
It's just a movie.
It's a movie. Don't go threatening to kill people.
And another thing, again, which kind of annoys me with Zack Snyder, he's been pushing people to watch, I guess, his Snyder cut over and over again and leave the movie on autoplay, which I didn't even know you can do that, but apparently
is that confirmed though?
I don't know. I mean, I've heard it.
That does sound like one of those like crazy rumor conspiracy things. If it is, I mean, there should be someone at Warner Brothers shaking his head, going, "Oh no, 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 no."
But they've also, the Snyder fans have been going on to IMDb and review bombing Godzilla versus Kong because they want less people to watch it, so that Justice League ends up being the most popular movie for the month of what is it, May or April? No, March or April. You know, which is, again, it's bizarre that you have such fans that would do something like that.
Well, it's people who resort to ripping down something rather than building it up. I mean, let's face it, there is room in the world for a Godzilla versus Kong and a Justice League movie. It doesn't have to be one or the other all the time. Same thing in politics, as always. We've seen it before. Either you're this way 100% or you're this way 100%. There's no middle ground. But as the middle ground, you can have both movies in the universe and enjoy them.
Yeah, people should be happy that there are just superhero movies out there. Like, there are a lot of people that are MCU fans, and there are a lot of people that are DC fans, and they want the other franchises to fail. And I'm like, why? It's like competition is good for each other too.
And it's all in fun. I mean, I can't remember the last time I picked up a Shazam comic book, but you know what? I had seen the movie and I really enjoyed it. It doesn't take away of my love of the Avengers or Guardians of the Galaxy to enjoy a Shazam movie. That's ridiculous. And you're right. It doesn't make sense. We should be glad this is a genre of movie that's popular right now. And if you enjoy that genre, there's room in the world for the Avengers and the Justice League. One may be better than the other, sure, but there's still room for both. Even if you don't understand the appeal of one of them, somebody else out there likes it.
Oh, and The Rock has also officially come out and said that he wants the Snyderverse restored.
The Rock is just another person as far as anybody else in the
exactly world. It's like, I don't care what he has to say. It's let DC decide. It's, again, I think Zack Snyder's manipulating everybody into giving him more work and making him become richer and richer and more powerful. And I think he shouldn't be given that opportunity. I think that I'm worried that Marvel might go after him now and other studios and stuff like that, because I just don't like what he did. I still think that he was behind all this stuff and that he had the fans do the dirty work. And I think he got into Ray Fisher's ear too, kind of saying, it's like, well, if we would have done my movie my way, you would have been the star, but
he's the little devil on the shoulder whispering in his ear.
Yeah, and there's no angel on the other side.
And there's no angel on the other side.
But what was interesting is Forbes looked at what happened with the Snyder Cut, and it says that it was reported that 1.48 million new downloads were from paying subscribers, and that movie would have generated around $22 million per month. An annual total of 266 million.
Oh, if it keeps going, but how many movies are in the?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how many
movies are in the theaters for a year? That's a garbage assessment. If they took the numbers for a month and said, "Oh, if this was released theatrically, it would make 22 million," Snyder would never work again in Hollywood.
Yeah, I would say at the most 2 months, people might watch it a couple of times.
Even at 44 million, that's
not good. That's why, again, Warner Brothers needs to think with its mind and look at the numbers and not listen to the fans. I mean, again, I watched it. There were parts I liked, but it's like, yeah, but does that mean that every time we go to the movies, we have to watch a 4-hour movie? He did this crap too with Batman v Superman. He goes, well, I wanted to be a longer, so I'm going to release the ultimate cut, which added like another half an hour to an already long movie.
Maybe that's the problem. Because I only saw the extended version. Maybe I would have liked it if it was a half hour shorter.
Well, yeah, and I recently picked up the theatrical one in 4K because it's just the extended one is just too long. I don't need explanation for everything that happened. Again, it's like Godzilla versus Kong. If they wanted to do an extended version of that and they just added the people's story, I wouldn't want to watch it. I just want to see more of Batman and Superman in a Batman and Superman movie. I don't want to see Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne and Lex Luthor
tracking down bullets.
Yeah, it's like, screw that crap. All right, so we're going to go next to me and Charlie reviewing episode 3 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But Jack, what did you think about episode 2?
I liked it. I wasn't as blown away with the second one as I was the first one. I mean, that helicopter scene when Sam is flying all over the place, that was just wild.
Yeah.
The fights on the truck and the new Captain America coming out. Dare I say it? John Walker is nearly likable. I don't think he's a bad guy. In the comics, from the moment he showed up, he was a jerk. But he's portraying a little bit more of a grounded, less cocky sort of character. Where, granted, he says, stay out of my way, because he's on the case just like they're on the case. But he didn't seem like that bad a guy.
No, I liked him too.
He was more like, hey, I can't replace Steve, but I'm going to do my best to live up to his legacy. That would be a huge leap in maturity for John Walker in the comics. So I don't think he's a bad guy. I know his days are numbered as Captain America, but I don't think John Walker is that bad a guy so far from what I've seen of him in episode 2. I'm not sure I like his sidekick.
Really? I liked him a lot. Battlestar?
Or Battlestar. I don't. There's just something about him I don't trust. Like, I almost see him as he's a plant to keep an eye on John Walker and to kind of steer him in certain directions.
They seem like they've been friends for a long time.
I don't know. Maybe something has changed in episode 3, but from what I saw, Battlestar seems like somebody's there in place to keep an eye on John Walker, that he's going to follow the agenda or whatever they have set out for him. Could be wrong. I've only seen that episode, but that was my impression of the character.
Well, I really like the two of them together, John Walker and Battlestar. I think that they have more chemistry than Steve and Sam, personally. I think that they're a very good team together. I like John Walker. Now in the comics, he had some sort of, he was worked on, or I don't know if he had the super soldier serum, but he had powers.
Yeah, he had enhanced strength. He was stronger than your average bear.
So that's something they changed with this. Something that I got wrong that Charlie had asked me, and again I didn't know. I says, "This is where we needed Jack." Was when they met the soldier from the Korean War, Isaiah, and I said I thought he was new, but when I spoke to you, you told me, you set me straight. Do you want to tell people
straight
about Isaiah?
Well, and I also said I didn't catch that series, but I knew of him that they had done a short series. I think it was amongst when they were doing Hulk Gray, Hulk Green, Spider-Man Red, Spider-Man Blue, that they did Captain America, and one of those stories, I believe, was Isaiah, how before Steve Rogers got the super soldiers serum, they had tested it out on different people. And Isaiah was one of those people back pre Steve Rogers who got it. And it stayed in his system. Now, obviously from the show, we saw that he still has some of that strength. Like he threw that tin and it went into the wall. So he has that strength. I don't know if in the comics if he kept it, but I know that it was passed on to his grandson, who we saw taking care of him in the show. The super soldier, or a portion of it, stayed with him because he joined the Young Avengers in that short-lived series. And he played, your patriot type character. That was a while ago. I don't remember too much about it, but I do remember that part that, he got his powers from them being passed on by his grandfather. So, yeah, he's not a brand new character, Joe, but that's the roots.
Okay. But no, I'm enjoying the series. I give it a solid 8 out of 10. Every episode I've seen so far, I've given an 8 out of 10, including the third episode.
And you've told me, I was excited to see Zemo at the end of that episode. And you said he's really good in the third one. So I'm looking forward to catching that.
He's very good. And he puts on the mask and he's got the coat. He looks really, really good with the fur around his neck,
Well, I like it. And I saw the picture of that costume. And I like how they did it, because in the comics, he kind of has the fur on his jacket, kind of. And, let's face it, his costume in the comics would have a tough time transferring over onto screen, let's face it, he has fur-covered shoulder pads in the comics, and he's not a dark purple. He's that more, lighter reddish purple,
lavender.
No, not even lavender. It's sort of like magenta. I don't think that look would carry over too well on screen if people were going to take him seriously. Just like Baltrop the Leaper, they gave him some of the colors of his costume, but he's not wearing the costume he wears in the comics with the cheesy French mustache that he twirls, and the what do they call it, the Harlequin mask. So from what I've seen in the still pictures, he looks really good with the different elements of his costume added in, not the actual costume itself. And it looks like it looked cool. So I'm looking forward to episode 3, where I could see him really come out.
I'm not going to say anything because
don't say anything. Don't spoil it for me.
Well, I don't want to spoil for anybody listening because we're about to talk about it next. So with that, let's move over to Charlie Hunter and me, and we're going to talk about episode 3 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. All right, so we are now joined by a podcaster in front of the show, Charlie Hunter.
Hello.
Welcome, Charlie.
Hello. Well, as ever, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, Charlie. So, okay, let's get into it. what did you think of the latest episode called Power Broker, and what would you rate it out of 10?
Do you know what? I'll start with the rating, if that's okay. 6 out of 10.
That's a little better than last time.
It is better, but 2 points I'll put on purely for Zemo. He runs away with this episode. It's his episode, really. I think he's a great character, and finally something comes in and breaks it up and gives it a little bit more of a direction as such. Even though I still think it's Rise of Skywalker territory where searching for the MacGuffin, but they need to go here, 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 and we'll just carry on, keep doing that rather than.
Yeah, that's a great point. That is getting frustrating.
Yeah, it is, and there's no Falcon. There's no Falcon this week. We saw the Winter Soldier, but there was no Falcon. As in, you never saw the Falcon. Do his
Falcony things.
Yeah. But it was a detective episode. So
yeah.
So yeah, 6 out of 10. Would have been 4 out of 10, but getting slightly better, I would say. What about yourself, Joe?
So my rating is I'm going to still stick with an 8 out of 10. I like what they're doing. I totally agree with you on Zemo. He was awesome. I was really surprised, how good he was. It kind of makes me think again that the Russos have a problem with some things, and they just didn't get Zemo right in Civil War. I think they did when Vision was great in Ultron, wasn't good in WandaVision or anything that the Russo brothers had done. So it's just like, if you know the character, that's great. I think whoever wrote Zemo for this really did a great job with him.
Yes, absolutely.
But I was going to say too, like you said that there was no Falcon. I felt like there was no Sam. I kind of feel like he's a secondary character in this show.
He did feel like in the trio. I did write it down in my notes that certainly towards the end, he's kind of pushed out.
Yeah, it's weird.
This is Zemo's show with his old pal, the Winter Soldier, and Falcon along for the ride. And I thought, it's not called Zemo and the Winter Soldier. It's called Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So can we have a little bit more Falcon? And as you say, a little bit more Sam.
Yep. All right, so we'll get into it. So I'm going to ask you, and I think I know what your answer is already. Who was your MVP in this show?
Well, Zemo. He's just wonderful. I mean, he's the most untrustworthy character. I mean, he's just you. If he helps you, great. If he doesn't, it's to be expected. He's just I thought, and I went back and watched that scene again, that he was double crossing them when he shot the pipeline strangely with the one shot. That was a lucky shot, but he shoots the pipeline and explodes, which allows him to escape. And I thought when he put on the purple mask that he was somehow going to be, this alternate character, and maybe this is where I defer to your comic book knowledge or history of his character as to what the comics say about him. But yeah, he's definitely the standout in this.
There's another one where we need Jack.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe. But also I did like Sharon in this as well. Sharon Carter. Is it Sharon Carter?
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked her. But I do have questions about that, but we'll get to that in a moment.
All right. So there's things I agree with you, and there's things I don't agree with you with.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he looked great. I liked his outfit that he had on, like with the fur, like on his lapels.
Iconic. It's just great.
Yeah. And the mask. Again, it's like, why couldn't we have seen this in Civil War? It would have been very easy to see a villain like this in Civil War. Same thing with the Scarlet Witch. Why didn't we get the Scarlet Witch with the costume and actually have a name called a Scarlet Witch? They play these characters not very well. And what's cool about Zemo is he's complex, similar to Thanos. So you kind of sympathize with him and you kind of like him. Again, like you said, he kind of ran away with the show. And I agree with you. He was the MVP in the show. He kind of reminds me of Bruce Wayne, and that guy is Alfred, except he's maybe an evil type of Bruce Wayne. Like, remember in Batman Begins when he picks him up, when I don't know if he was in Burma or something like that with the plane.
Right. Yeah.
So that scene kind of reminded me of that.
That's a good shout.
Yeah, I just like him. I think he does a fantastic job. He's interesting. Nothing, even like the stupidest things. And again, I know it's not just him. It's got to be the writers. Like when they went into that club towards the end and he started dancing. And in the back of my mind, I was like, I just wish they went in there and they started dancing, and they did that. I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. Even if it was only for like about 10 seconds. I thought that was kind of cool.
It was good. Is he rich? I mean, we know he's rich.
Well, he says it.
Is he Tony Stark rich?
I don't know if he's Tony Stark rich, but he says he is a baron, so he is a baron.
Right. Okay.
So he does have some sort of wealth and some sort of royalty, I guess. But yeah, no, he just did such a great job. But you know what? There were some things that annoyed me. First of all, they're kind of playing this dumb, Sam and Bucky. Why would you break this guy out of jail? You're just looking for trouble. No matter what you think you're doing the right thing, you're gonna get your ass handed to you by the government and S.H.I.E.L.D. eventually. I think that's a little crazy.
And the breakout. Are we getting into that?
Well, I want to say, all right, let me say really quick.
Okay.
I love the breakout because it was quick. Because someone else would have made this a whole episode and would have dragged it on until now we have 7 episodes of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's what WandaVision did. This show, I think, gets right where they can put as much as possible in one episode where they don't need 9 episodes. They can do 6. So I'm grateful for that. So what were you going to say about the breakout?
Well, annoyances. It's only minor annoyances. Winter Soldier says, I could create a diversion. Well, how are you going to create a diversion? What the jiggins is the Winter Soldier being taken through general population of any prison. Is it you go through the entrance, you check all these stuff, bang, 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 and then you have to walk down some steps through the general population, up some other steps, and then go to the back room where Zemo is? Or do you just go, we'll take you around, sirs, and we'll put you anywhere near general population? No, he's just walking through with one guard, as far as I can see. He just walks through the middle of them, almost like high-fiving the prisoners, like, hey, it's the Winter Soldier. Hey, yeah, wow. And I'm kind of like, this would never happen. I mean, it would never happen.
Yeah, no, it would never happen where they would say, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier said, we want to talk to Zemo. No, that ain't going to happen. And why the hell is he behind some Hannibal Lecter type of cell? Is he that much of a threat? Everyone else basically has bars. He's got like this plastic stuff and, almost like he's the most dangerous prisoner that they
absolutely.
have. It's a little insane.
Oh, it just looked as if it was just an annoyance. But I would have to say that the writers did a better job in this episode than they did in the last one. I hope we're not going to have episode 1 great writing, episode 2 bad writing, very bad writing, episode 3 good writing again, episode 4 I hope it's going to be in an upward trajectory now, and episode 2 is a blip rather than it go the way of every alternate Star Trek film. One good, one bad, one good.
So now you brought up Sharon Carter, and I got to say, I didn't like her.
Right, okay.
I thought she was overpowered. I mean, the stuff that she did to all of those bounty hunters.
Pretty grim.
What is she, Batman? I mean, that's crazy that she can do all that stuff, and not walk away with a scratch. And these guys had guns. She basically had nothing. And she just was that's the thing again, where they're trying to highlight, and I know people hate when I say this, a strong female character. And I could see Black Widow maybe doing something like that. Yeah. But Sharon Carter, I don't know. you know,
we don't really know too much about our backstory, so
yeah,
I'd
Jack would
probably
probably correct me on that one.
yeah. Well, yeah, yeah, there might be. I loved, by the way, in that scene, the Call of Duty move. I definitely identified it as that.
What is
So,
the Call of Duty move?
so if you're playing Call of Duty and somebody knows where you are, they think that you're. I mean, they're very, very simplistic. They think that you're going that way, right? So they come after you, and instead you're looking the other way, and you've already got the gun pointed at them. So as soon as they walk into the hut, the room, the building, you're just sat there, and they automatically think you never stopped. You just carried on. She does that move. There was the guy around the corner that was peeking around the corner like that, and then he gets around the corner, and she's already just set up to take the shot.
Oh yeah, that was the very last shot, right?
I love that, and I just went, "That's what I do on Call of Duty."
Well, that's pretty cool. But yeah, no, I just thought that her whole story was weird, that she was on the run after what she did. Again, you would think that the government would have pardoned her after all the stuff that had happened, and that it wouldn't be that difficult, because she basically, if it wasn't for her, you know, Cap and Bucky wouldn't have been able to escape, and they were, again, very material in saving the world. So you would think, well, she was somewhat slightly responsible for helping us. We'll cut her a break. And then that she goes to like the worst part of the world too, and is like living there, and it's like, yeah, I'm cool with it, but I wouldn't mind being pardoned. It's just kind of
yeah. Well, here comes my the same question I've been asking for the last 2 weeks, the last 2 sessions that we've had. Where is Steve Rogers? Where is he?
If he's going to show up, it'll be
of course he's going to show up. And in fact, I have a theory about when he's going to show up. Right, but I'll leave that until later.
It's got to be the last episode if he's going to show up. I don't think he's going to show up, but
well, I've got a theory about what's going to happen in the last episode as well. So,
all right, if he shows up, I'm going to say it's going to be by a phone call, and Falcon's going to pick up and go, Steve. You're not going to hear any voice or anything like that.
But right. So at the end of end, is Steve Rogers getting up in the morning, making himself a cup of coffee, going to the beach, playing around the golf, chatting with some buddies, doing all of that, mowing the lawn, all this sort of stuff? Or is he, as probably one of the single most recognizable people in the universe, actually still in touch with people? And they go, Steve, can I ask you hi, it's the military here. Is there any chance we could just run some ideas from you or something like that? Yeah. So is he a consultant for the military? Whatever he is, he's not. He
hiding.
Should be in this. He should be in this somewhere.
I mean, in reality, I think, again, I'm not sure about time travel. I don't understand it completely how it works in the MCU. But wouldn't he have joined them on their trip to time travel, like where they had to go? Or like he could have showed up and told them if it was going to work, or Black Widow was going to die or something like that. There's like so many things that he could have done that he basically says, nah, I'm not going to interfere with, what's going on. Maybe that's how time travel works, is maybe if he did, it wouldn't have happened.
Well, you see, if we're going into sort of Back to the Future style territory here, then how does Sharon Carter exist? What assume Agent Carter had a relationship with somebody else.
No, that's her niece.
That's a niece. Right. Oh, okay. Okay, because there's part of me that went, well, if Steve Rogers went back, then, and that's my mistake, because I thought that was Agent Carter's daughter from another marriage. So that was my fault. But that would be, so he goes back and ends up becoming, anyway, right.
Well, I wonder if he ever told her that he made out with her niece.
She has to put 2 and 2 together.
But she's like, but she wasn't born yet.
Again, all these Netflix specials on the superheroes and their role in the final battle. One of them would have been his Captain America story. And she would have been able to see it and go, oh, right, okay.
But you know what I was going to say too with Sharon, after they were all done and the four of them were walking away, like, where she kicked ass and, they got what they needed to have. I'm like, this is like, it's not two companies, three's a crowd. It's three's company and four's a crowd, because I just didn't like the optics of her being there. It should have been Sam, Bucky, and Zemo, and that's it. She's just too much, and I hope that we don't see her again. I'm thinking we might see her for a small little thing, but it seems like they separated. But yeah, I just didn't like her. She reminded me too of Halle Berry in what was it, John Wick 3. It's like she wasn't needed, and it took away time from the person that you wanted to see.
Okay. It was speaking of John Wick, I did like the nod to John Wick 3, where after Selby was killed, the bounty was put on their head and everybody's phones around them flickered.
That's right. I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, wow, this is John Wick territory. Yeah,
that's cool. So there wasn't too much of John Walker and Battlestar in this one at all.
No,
I still like him.
Obviously, they have to paint him in a bad light. Obviously, his journey, however brief it is in this, has to show him as, oh, I'm really the bad guy. So by the time it gets to the end, everything's all like nailed in place. You do know how this is probably a good time for me to tell you how the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is going to end.
Mm-hmm.
That rogue piece of serum that is still out there. So we're led to believe there's still super serum out there, even though the factory got blown up. There is still super serum out there.
There's 20 vials.
Right. Okay. Sam's going to take at least 5 of them, and it's going to make him like more powerful than Captain America.
I don't believe that one.
And that's it. And then suddenly the Falcon then goes, do you know what? I've got the super soldier serum. I've got Captain America. If you're right, Joe, has called him up on the phone. I think he's going to be there in person. Captain America is going to take Steve Rogers is going to take the shield from John Walker and hand it to Sam. I'm telling you now, it's already been written. That's how it's going to work.
Well, that's nice, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I'll have a 50p bet with you, Joe.
All right.
Okay.
I'll take you on that one.
2 dimes or something for you, or whatever.
No, I think what's going to happen is like if he's even tempted by something like that, he won't do it because he'll know that it's like that's just not him to take like some kind of enhancement, almost like steroids in a way. I think he would kind of turn that off, where he would say, "No, I've become the man I am because of who I am, not because of some enhancement to me."
Well, there's big money on it, Joe. So
I think and again, this one's out of the park, and I'm not betting you on this one. But I think that after watching this and seeing how Bucky kicks ass so much, I think that Sam's and he's the one that's fighting for the shield. Because if it wasn't for Bucky, Sam would have just been trying to get another loan. Bucky's the one that's like, you got to have that shield. It's not right that this guy has that shield. You got to have that shield. I think Sam's going to hand it over to Bucky.
Right.
And he'd be a better Captain America just because of his strength and his agility. And I also think that John Walker is going to get one of those vials too, and he's going to take the serum.
If you're right, then I'm going to enjoy the final 3 episodes. This is going to be. It may be. Well, whoever's right. One of the things that I wanted to pick up was when they bust Zemo out of prison and he's standing there in the guard's uniform. I've said to you that they would love the camaraderie between Bucky and Sam to be like Lethal Weapon. They're trying. It won't happen because they haven't got that dynamic. That was lightning in a bottle. This isn't that. But when Zemo comes in, they treat him like the Joe Pesci character in Lethal Weapon 3. And I'm like, so wait a minute. This guy who's cleverer than both of you, smarter than both of you, you're suddenly treating him as the guy that went, they messed you at the drive-through. I'm kind of like, I expected his hair to be white or something, and it just reminded me of trying to create that sort of threesome there are better threesomes out there, better models that you can have for that. And I'm kind of like, no, it's Lethal Weapon 3.
Oh, I didn't think about that. I'm gonna have to watch it again. That makes a good point. So these flag smashers and who's the head of it? That girl. What the frig is her name?
The gingerhead girl.
The gingerhead girl.
Are they trying to? I thought halfway through they were trying to redeem her and give her that nice backstory and say that she's not bad after all. But then right at the end of the episode, you find out, whoa, oh, okay.
Yeah, I was talking to my nephew Frankie last night, and he brought that up too. He thought that she might possibly become the next Captain America, because of the way that they were going, that she had the super soldier serum in there, and that she would recruit all of the people that had that serum in them to kind of become like the new Avengers. And,
what?
Yeah, something like that. But because they are looking like Robin Hoods, like a bunch of them, that they're not really bad people. That
they're doing at the end of this, they're bad people.
Yeah, but then she shows that she's a bad person. There's no redemption for her.
Yeah.
And again, like I told you last week, I didn't want her character to be like what she was in Solo, because it would have been the same thing where she was like a Robin Hood sort of character.
Right.
But there's something definitely fundamentally wrong with her.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But who knows? They still might say, well, she was under a lot of stress and she really didn't mean it.
Yeah, but she's just. I don't particularly like a character in this.
I don't either.
It's just well, who knows where it's going to go, and who knows where it's end up. You might actually be right. Do you know what? In the world of how shows are created these days, he says very diplomatically, that just might come true, Joe.
It's true.
There's nothing off the table.
All right, so the last thing we're going to talk about is the very ending, where was it that girl from the Dora Milaje? I'm probably saying it wrong. She shows up at the end. What'd you think about that?
Well, presumably, they're all friends, because obviously the Winter Soldier went to Wakanda to rehabilitate. Where they looked after him and they basically nurtured him and cared for him. She would have a deep hatred of Zemo. I don't know where she fits in. It's just, if you've got a theory, Joe, in the immortal words of Whitney Houston, I have nothing.
Oh my God, that's the first time a Whitney Houston song was used in the show. Let's do that more often.
No, let's not, Joe. It's
fine. So I was thinking about this. So in the MCU, Black Panther is still alive. I mean, even though Chadwick Boseman passed away.
Yeah.
So he's still out there. I don't think he would authorize something like this, because he kind of let it go, after he listened to what Zemo was, what drove him to what he was. He realized that he didn't want to be like him. I don't think that he would want his people to go after for revenge of the death of his father. So now my point is, she's not Okio. She's Ayo, which is like the second after Okio. What if she slept with the father, and that she had some sort of relationship and she had a deeper love for him? Now that would make sense for her to go back and try to kill Zemo, because he basically killed her lover. Now, again, that's just
Joe, what is in the water in Florida at the moment? I mean,
why don't you think that'd be cool though?
Well, it may be. I
mean, I doubt Marvel would do that, but to me, that's the only thing that makes sense. So why are you all the way over here? And were they in Germany? I think
they were in. Well, they're in Riga right at the end.
Oh, okay, wherever the hell they are. But I just don't get why she's there. I guess we'll find out next week.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a great ending. What's the significance of the little balls he picks up?
Oh, that was Wakandan tracking devices.
Right. Okay.
So he recognized them because he was on Wakanda for a while.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure I wrote something No. I thought I had something written down about that. No, but it sets up if all that we've discussed and all the things that we've talked about that might happen, then this is going to be an exciting last 6 episodes. Sorry, last 3 episodes out of 6. Let's hope it continues on a good trajectory. But if you take Zemo out next week, then I think you're going to have a bit of a problem. He has to stay in there till the end.
When you think about it, they have such good characters. Like they have Zemo, of course, they have the Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I also like John Walker and Battlestar. I think they're very good too. Flag Smashers just aren't doing it for me.
No.
And I guess we don't know who the power broker is too. It's not that woman that was killed. No, I don't.
Oh, let's talk. Can we just talk about the woman that was Shelby? Was it?
Yeah.
Was she an American actress doing a very bad English accent, or was she an English actress that can't get an English accent right?
Well, you would notice that more than me.
Well, for whatever reason, it just felt like. I mean, we are nowhere near it. Don Cheadle territory in Ocean's 11. Thank goodness, because that is the worst accent ever recorded on celluloid. However, there's just something. As soon as she started talking, I just thought, I don't know, and I should have looked it up. If she's an American actress. Fine, I understand that that's how people think that everyone in London talks like. But it isn't. It really isn't.
I thought it was Tilda Swinton for a minute, when I first saw her. But yeah, no, I'm gonna have to check it, see if she was an American actress.
Now Tilda Swinton can do any accent she wants. Tilda Swinton's acting is near enough perfect.
But I thought, like, when she got killed, I thought that was going to be John Walker, shooting her.
Right. Oh, right. Okay. So Walker comes in and says, "Right, yeah, we know you busted Zemo out. Where is he?" I just think, that bit at the start where the guy spits in his face, it's kind of like, the more I think about it, just after we've been chatting, you might actually be right, and that in the sense of having the girl take the shield and becoming Captain America, the ginger-haired girl, might be because it almost looks as if the symbol of Captain America has now changed. Why wouldn't anyone on the planet think that every Avenger who ended up saving that not only their lives but their families and the people around them, the community around them, why would they then have the flip side, back to hating the US, back to hating that? And I'm kind of like, is it the country they hate or the symbol that they hate?
Or it could be the writers that hate,
Could be. Let's not go down that road, Joe.
No, we won't. I stopped short. I hit the brakes.
Me too.
All right, so I guess we'll wrap it up there unless you get something else to add.
No, that's it. We covered all the points. Lethal Weapon 3, tick. Where's Steve Rogers? Tick. Yeah. Bad accents, tick. Yep. We've gone through them all. So yeah.
All right.
I'm looking forward to episode 4. I'm looking forward to being and chatting with you about that next week.
Me too. And I think the final one we're going to have Jack on.
Oh, absolutely. Is he coming? I mean, I love our chats, and we chat during the week as well. But I would love to. Nice to see Jack. Jack.
He's got no problem with you, Charlie.
No. I don't think he. Well, hopefully, no problem. apart from me beating him in the quiz, but
no, he just takes forever to watch this stuff. Like he, he's up to episode 2. He still hasn't watched episode 3 because I spoke to him last night.
Right.
Like he'll watch it like a Monday or Tuesday or something like that. Right before the next one's about to air. Okay. So that's his problem. That's why he hasn't been on the show.
We'll give him my best, and if you listen to this, Jack, you are missed. Come on and tell me how wrong I am, and provide all of those gaps in the very limited comic book knowledge. So yes.
All right, keep dreaming.
Oh well, I hope so.
All right. So thanks again, Charlie, and we'll see you next week.
Nice one. Cheers. Take care.
And we now will return you to our regularly scheduled programming.
You should get a special effect.
And now we're back, Jack McCarthy and I, and we're up to our main topic.
Through the magic of post-production.
It is, and I'm very good at it. So it is the finals for the Marvel DC March Madness, and we are up to the final 8. And once that 8 comes with victors, will be the final 4, then the 2, and then we'll crown a champion. So I got my bowl over here. Jackie boy.
Of winners.
Only 8 left, so let's see.
Who's coming up? It's the Hulk versus.
Let's see here.
Gravitron. This would be a good fight.
You say that all the time. I've never heard you say this fight would suck. No, actually, you do.
No, I would say this fight. This is going to be a quick one. You know.
Yeah, you're right.
There wasn't much of a discussion. We have seen the Hulk deal with tremendous amounts of pressure. I mean, in the old Secret Wars, you know, by himself, he held up a mountain from crushing, you know, a whole bunch of other heroes who were all beaten up badly. To see the Hulk straining against all the gravity powers that Gravitron would put on him would be probably almost as good as the scene in Spider-Man we talked about before, when, you know, Stan Lee wrote on a page, Spider-Man is stuck under a machine, you know, in one line, and Steve Ditko made one of the most incredible sequences in Spider-Man ever. That would be like, this is like that the Hulk straining with the weight of the world literally on his shoulders, with each step pounding closer and closer to Gravitron. That could be a really good few pages to see the Hulk struggling to his max, and if he could get a hold of him. And like I said, that would be the question, to see how much pressure the Hulk could take with every step. Slowly he turns, step by step, inch by inch.
All right, Abbott and Costello.
No, I was thinking more the big orange monster with Bugs Bunny. But I think that would be good. I don't know. I don't know if Gravitron would wear him down before the Hulk got to him.
Well, I have an answer.
Okay, your answer is?
It's the Hulk, because it's a sentimental favorite. I don't even know who the hell this Gravitron is. I mean, I know he's powerful and everything, and he probably at some point could kick the Hulk's ass and all that stuff. From what you've said, yeah, he's got a lot of cool powers that could keep the Hulk at bay, or even for him getting close enough to beat him, to swing at him. It might not be possible. But again, I'm going with the sentimental favorite, and I'm going with the Hulk.
After a scene like I was saying, you know the Hulk will get his hands on him and just give him the Loki treatment of boom, boom, boom. So, you know what? Eventually, because the hero's good will always eventually defeat evil, I will go with the Hulk.
You're a softie. I can get you.
I am a softie.
All right, who's the next one?
Count Nefaria versus the Silver Surfer. This would be another really good one. See, this is where we're getting down to the crux of it. This would be just like Superman versus the Silver Surfer without the kryptonite radiation in play. So I think I would give it to the Surfer, but it would, once again, this would be a really good fight. That Nefaria is trying to get away, and the Surfer could just catch him like that, and it would come down to fisticuffs. Or, you know, they try his energy powers, he's just dumping it into Nefaria. Nefaria is shrugging it off, where it has to come down to a fist fight. And it would be good. It would be good. But as I think the Surfer could take out any of the Kryptonians, I think he would take out Nefaria.
See, these were the two, Count Nefaria and Gravitron, which I knew the least about, that I was going to veto you if you picked them, whoever they were fighting.
Oh, really? Oh, we have a veto. Okay,
yes.
We have a disagreement. I didn't realize you had a veto.
But luckily, I didn't have to do that. But yeah, of course, the Silver Surfer. Count Nefaria, again, you've explained to me what he's like and everything. I don't like his name. I mean, it sounds like
it's definitely like
Count Dracula, nefarious.
Nefaria. Well, it's just like Dr. Doom,
Yeah.
It's a comic book name. I'd be surprised there was someone out there actually named Nefaria,
Yeah.
Our lucky
Anyway,
listener will send us hate mail. That's really my name.
He's out of here.
All right,
done.
Surfer it is.
Okay.
Captain Marvel versus.
Oh, this is a good one.
Darkseid. Once again, we've seen Captain Marvel on screen go against Thanos, which is very similar to Darkseid.
You can't use that, though, as a comparison.
You can't use it in comparison, though. Darkseid, I think, is stronger than Thanos anyway, because I don't think Thanos would do well against Superman, and Darkseid has handled himself admirably against Superman. But this is tough because of Captain Marvel's powers, what we've seen on screen, and how they've been exponentially growing through the comics through the years. That's tough. What do you think?
Well, like I said before, I think Superman has kicked Darkseid's ass by himself.
I wouldn't say it was quite an ass kicking. He may have won, but Darkseid put up
a battle, but I would say for the most part, Superman has the upper hand, especially if Superman gets angry. Like we've said too, Superman as Superman against like the villains of Earth, he kind of holds back with his powers.
Right.
But with someone like Darkseid, he lets all loose, especially if Darkseid is a threat to the universe or the people he loves.
Oh yeah. Well, he says that in the animated Bruce Timm universe, that Superman has said, I don't normally get to cut loose, but this feels good. Thank you for the opportunity. And clobbers Darkseid. But yeah, on this one, it's like I said, with Captain Marvel, I just don't know where her powers are going.
This is a tough one because like I said, I would only veto those two. I'm not going to veto this one. I'm going to give it to you to let you decide. Decide faster than that.
I'm stumped on this one because I can't get the MCU Captain Marvel out of my head. You know what? I'm going to go with Captain Marvel.
All right.
The strength and determination of a strong woman will overcome.
Do you know who you're talking to? Oh, man. But
even Lynette's in the kitchen like, oh, my gosh.
That's funny.
But yeah, I
didn't mean Lynette.
As a hero, she would reach deep down and get that little extra oomph to keep her going.
I was tempted to put Darkseid back in the bowl, but I think it would be very close, and
Once again, we're at the stage of any of these fights could be a really good slugfest in a comic book.
But yeah, you know, we'll go with Captain Marvel. It's kind of like a flip of the coin. All right. Final two here of the 8.
Power Girl versus Thor. You know, I gotta say Thor. Even though she's a Kryptonian and we've seen Superman beat Thor in the JLA versus Avengers crossover, I thought that was one that Kurt Busiek had gotten wrong. There's a scene in that crossover where Thor hits Superman with his hammer and Superman catches it in his hand, you know, and he gives a cheesy, what was the movie? This is Spinal Tap answer.
Oh, is that the one with George Perez?
Is
that the one with George Perez?
Yes. And while it was a great crossover, I think that one was wrong. That Mjolnir is magical and it's a hammer. And I think it should have broken Superman's hand. Sort of like, let's go back to cheesy wrestling. You know, another wrestler goes after another one with a hammer, a sledgehammer. If that big guy is wielding a hammer, the other guy is still going to get the worst end of it if he gets hit. He's not going to be able to shrug it off. And I think that's the case. I think Superman should have had his hand broken when he tried to stop Mjolnir with his hammer. And the fact that Mjolnir is powered by magic, I think would have broken through a Kryptonian's natural invulnerability. So I think if she got hit with the hammer, it would hurt an awful lot and probably put an end to the match quick. Only because of Kryptonian susceptibility to magic.
No, you make an excellent point there. I never really thought about the magic when it came to Power Girl and Thor, but yeah, that's
unless she doesn't have the vulnerability to magic like the other Kryptonians do, because she has different weaknesses.
No, I think it was just Superboy Prime didn't have the vulnerability to magic, but she does.
Right, but I think being on the receiving end of Mjolnir, that would do her in.
Me too.
You know? I think that's why Thor would beat Superman, because strength for strength, Superman may be able to take Thor without a hammer, but if he gets hit with the hammer, it's pretty tough to come back from.
Alrighty, give that one to Thor. Putting these guys back in the bowl. And guess what we did, Jack? They're all Marvel. No DC in this batch.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And you know what? I think that goes up to luck of the draw.
Could be.
Because if, like I said, if it was Power Girl versus the Hulk, it would be a different outcome. You know?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
It's the luck of the draw, like Superman going up against the Silver Surfer. Superman just had a bad draw where he pulled the Surfer instead of, Daredevil.
All right, let's see who's in the final four here.
All right, our final four is the Silver Surfer, the Hulk,
so has this been in the comics?
Silver Surfer versus the Hulk?
Yeah.
Yes, it has. And the Silver Surfer won because the Silver Surfers has a variety of powers. It comes to the fact that The Surfer is fast. He can fly. The Hulk can leap, but when the Hulk leaps, that's it. He's going in that direction. The Surfer can zigzag all over the place. And at one point, the Surfer was able to grab the Hulk and just take off, and like threw him on the ground and stuff. That diversity of powers is the same reason I would think Superman would beat the Hulk. The Hulk is the strongest one there is, but other people have other powers. It's diversity.
Now, I had researched this last week when we were possibly looking at a Silver Surfer Hulk fight, that during one, I guess, battle that they had, the Silver Surfer was able to drain the Hulk of his gamma radiation and change him back to Bruce Banner. So if he can do that, that's the end of it.
That comes with the able to manipulate the wavelength of radiation.
Yeah. So we got to give that to Silver Surfer. Hulk's out.
Hulk's out.
Okay.
Superman's out.
Well, I think we know who the final two are. I mean, the next two
We
are.
have Captain Marvel, the Madam of Might, versus Goldilocks.
Thor.
Thor. So there we have it. There's our final four.
Well, now we have three.
Three?
Well, we got rid of the Hulk.
Oh, well, no, we don't know yet.
No, yes,
Luck
we
of the
did.
draw.
No, the Hulk is done. You just said we've had Silver Surfer go against the Hulk. The Hulk lost.
Yeah, but what if
the Hulk is done?
Through somebody else.
Doesn't matter.
No, you gotta leave him in the bowl. That's the way it goes.
I'm not putting him back in the bowl. He just lost to the Silver
Back in the bowl.
Surfer.
What if it's the Hulk versus Captain Marvel?
What drugs are you on, Jack? We just had the Hulk versus Silver Surfer, and he lost. So he's out.
He didn't have to fight the Silver Surfer.
He did. He just fought him.
Yeah, but he could have fought.
I don't care. He could have. That's
the magic of the random bowl.
But that's why I picked that out of the bowl. Just Thor and Captain Marvel. Give me an answer.
Thor and Captain Marvel.
There's only going to be one winner out of this one, too.
It would be Thor. Because as powerful as they have Captain Marvel being, Thor is a god. And even though she is strong, she is not empowered by an infinity gem. So Thor would just give her a shellacking. She could put up a good fight, but at the end of the day, it would be the mighty Thor standing tall.
So I was just reading. So this, I don't know if this happened in the comics or not. But someone had said his lightning would overload Captain Marvel's energy absorption powers.
You see, I don't think that would be the case. I would think she would be able to absorb whatever energy or lightning he would throw at her, even though the disintegration ray from Mjolnir might give her a tough time, but not the lightning. The lightning she'd be able to absorb and shake off, no problem. I think it would come, and he would be able to take whatever she threw at him as well. I think it would come down to a slugfest. Fists against a hammer.
All right. No, I agree with you. I know more about Captain Marvel about Thor than I do Captain Marvel. But again,
and I like Captain Marvel. I think it would be a good fight where it would go back and forth for a while, but I'd say Thor would come out on top eventually.
The movie Captain Marvel and the movie Thor, that might be a different story.
Different story completely.
But yeah, the comic book one, it seems like he would have the upper hand over her.
And especially now that he has the Odin Force. You know, he's now the ruler of Asgard.
Oh, really? In the comics?
In the comics. So he has the Odin Force now, where, you know, he's now able to stand up to Galactus and put Galactus in his place. He's extremely tough right now. which may be cool, but eventually, I don't know. I think they're going to have to take the Odin power away from them.
I haven't been following the comics in a while, so I know that Jane Foster became Thor. Thor was no longer worthy. So is he worthy now? Does he have Mjolnir?
He does, but there's something wrong with Mjolnir. That's an ongoing story now, where it's getting heavier for Thor to lift, and other people are almost being able to lift it. So
weird.
There's something wrong with the magic in Mjolnir since it was reforged. So that's an ongoing plot line through the current series.
What happened to Jane Foster's Thor? What is she using now?
Actually, her cancer went into remission. Actually, it didn't even just go into remission; it's completely gone. I don't know how they completely explain that, but she's cancer-free now.
Oh, that's nice.
And she is now a Valkyrie.
Really?
She was the last Valkyrie after War of the Realms, when it was Malekith had recruited all of the different realms to go against the good realms. And he won. And his final step was Earth. So you had everybody on Earth fighting Malekith, the trolls, the frost giants. It was a big crossover. And at the end of it, I believe Jane Foster became the last Valkyrie after Broomhild was killed.
Did she ride in a Pegasus?
Hmm?
Did she ride in a
No,
Pegasus?
she doesn't. She is how do you explain it? She has a weapon that can turn into anything she needs. So this weapon, I believe, can transform into wings, so she can fly.
No, that's pretty cool.
It can be a melee weapon. It could be something that swings on a chain. So this weapon does all sorts of crazy stuff. I fell behind on the series and I haven't caught up yet.
Well, definitely know more than me.
Now they've done something where the other Valkyries are now back again. And they've introduced Angry Girl from Ragnarok.
Oh, you mean
that Valkyrie?
Oh, okay.
Is now in the comic books. Like I said, I have the issues. I haven't gotten to read them, but she's back now, and they're starting to rebuild the Valkyries, her and Jane Foster. So the Valkyries are back, which is a good thing, because they're one of those groups that kind of has a neat little niche in the MCU. So, but that's what Jane Foster is up to these days.
Okay. Yeah, I went off on a little bit of a tangent, but it was very interesting to learn all those facts about Jane Foster and Thor.
There's so much going on in
a lot of change, yeah. A lot of change, yeah.
Yeah, it's just sometimes it's so all over the place, with the X-Men off doing their own weird thing. The Avengers are now attracted the attention of the Phoenix. The Phoenix was always like X-Men based, but now it's in the Avengers. There's stuff all over the place. Namor is no longer a hero. He's an outright villain of the sea. Like, it's just crazy. There's so much different stuff going on in Marvel. It's hard to keep up with it.
All righty. All right. So now we're up to the final two. Do you get this, Jack? There's only two left.
All right.
There's only two left.
Two is the Silver Surfer versus who's left?
Well, Thor.
Thor.
Silver Surfer and Thor.
Okay. These two have fought several times. It's I know there can't be a tie.
No, I did a research on this one.
Okay, then I will forego to your research, because as far as I know, it's taken a lot out of both of them, and both of them have never walked away feeling very well. They both have just beat the heck out of each other. But your research says?
So, yeah, you're right. They've fought like about a dozen times, and it usually ends in a stalemate between the two of them. But Thor has beaten the Silver Surfer 3 times and has not lost to the Silver Surfer without outside force, where he was able to beat Thor up when he was boosted by Loki. Loki assisted in his victory over Thor. Okay. So I would think, with that being said, I mean, if he beat him 3 times and the Silver Surfer never beat him once on his own, I'd have to give it to Thor.
All right. I would not veto that decision.
You can't.
You don't have a veto.
You don't have a veto power. Only I do.
But I can't go, because I think it really honestly would go either way.
Yeah, no, I would too. I mean, if I didn't read that stuff, I wouldn't know what to say. But if he beat him 3 times, that sounds good enough for me. And the other ones were just stalemates. I would say Thor is victorious.
Well, I mean, you have to look at it. Thor is the, noble warrior, and the Surfer is supposed to be, innately noble, innately good. So
I just don't know how he would beat him.
They would eventually come to an agreement where it's like, this has gone on long enough. We fought each other and destroyed what we were fighting over. Let's be friends and go whoop Mephisto or Loki or something.
What happened in not World War, Planet Hulk, was the Hulk versus Silver Surfer, right?
Yeah, somehow they had managed to put one of those controller discs onto the Silver Surfer. That's what the planet was using to make the Hulk fight in the gladiator rink. Everybody got hit with one of those things, just like in Ragnarok. They got one on the Surfer. I don't know how it got through his silver shell or anything, but eventually, same thing. They were fighting, going at it, and the Surfers got damaged. I think the Hulk actually hit it hard enough to damage it, and the Silver Surfer got his free will back. Now, once again, the Surfer was like, he just took off. He's like, Hulk, you want to come with me? And Hulk's like, no, I'll stay here. I have work to do. So he's like, okay, see ya. And the Surfer just like takes off. So the Hulk ended up stuck on Planet Hulk because he turned down the ride home. So once again, that's kind of like a stalemate. The fight stopped along the point before it went on and a definitive winner was declared.
Yeah, and again, I just know what I read, online. I don't know how Thor would beat the Silver Surfer and what kind of battle it would be.
Like you said, the way Thor has stood up to Galactus and has taken care of the Phoenix on his own. So he's fought the power cosmic before. So he'd probably just pound it into submission.
He'd be a cool enemy, if they turned him dark at some point.
Thor would be rough.
Well, didn't they do that with Civil War? It wasn't Thor. It was a Reed Richards
clone Thor.
Yeah. But that'd be pretty cool. Kind of like what they're doing with Superman with the Snyderverse. I had to bring that one in there.
It always comes back to the Snyderverse.
Anyway, congratulations, Thor.
So there's our winner. Thor, you are declared the winner of March Madness.
I'd say he's a very worthy winner too, and I'm happy for him.
And listeners, send in your opinions if you think we got it right or we got it wrong.
Yeah. And as always, Jack.
And unfortunately, Joe, if you disagree with Joe, he'll just pretend he never got your email. He'll veto it.
That's not true. I
answer big rubber stamp of his that says veto.
Unlike other people on this podcast, I answer everybody's emails.
When I spawn them, I do.
Or I know where to find them anyway.
Well, I know where to find them now as well.
But anyway, and I just wanted to say, Jack, of course, thank you for your wonderful knowledge of everything Marvel, and you do a really awesome job with DC too. You're indeed a huge asset to WDWNT.
I'm a wealth of useless information.
Well, at least you're a wealth of something.
Of something.
All right, let's just get in a listener email and then we'll wrap this one up.
Get you on the train now. I don't think it's up to 5 yet. It will be soon, though, probably.
I think we had this question once before. Michael wanted to know, what comic book story would you like to see made into a movie that hasn't been yet made into a movie?
You know what story I'd love to see, only because it's got a little bit of everything, would be, there was an arc of Spider-Man versus the Hobgoblin from Spider-Man 249 to, I think it was 251.
And that was Ned Leeds, right?
That was before it was revealed who was the Hobgoblin. So that whole mystery is still going on during it. But the crux of it is that the Hobgoblin, by looking through Norman Osborn's journals, has dug up dirt on some of the most influential people in New York, on both sides of the law. So he's dug it up on Silvermane, he's dug it up on the Kingpin, as well as J. Jonah Jameson, different businessmen in New York, and he's blackmailing them. And of course, Spider-Man gets involved, but it comes down to one of my favorite Spider-Man fights ever. And it's just a great Spider-Man story where Spider-Man is beaten down, you know, but he still manages to fight his way up and he comes back. It's got a great villain, has some great story interaction, some fantastic characters. I think that would make it for a terrific movie. And like I said, we'd get to see James Jonah Jameson back. We'd get to see Wilson Fisk running around being up to no good. And you still have all the Spider-Man supporting cast thrown in there too. I think it would be a great storyline.
Wouldn't they have to introduce the Green Goblin first?
Well, I think at this point now, if you're watching a Spider-Man movie and the Green Goblin is mentioned, most people would probably know who he is. I don't think we'd have to see the Green Goblin too much. We could say Norman Osborn was just a crazy guy up to no good. It would help if the Green Goblin was introduced, but we've already seen the Green Goblin twice over the span of how many Spider-Man movies?
Well, I was going to say about 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll see the Green Goblin before we see the Hobgoblin. But I always kind of like the Hobgoblin a little bit better.
I remember you saying that, yeah.
You know, and, you know, like I said, I would love to see that story go through. And let's see, what else would be a good story?
I was going to ask you before you go on to another one. Do you think that the MCU's Ned Leeds and the Spider-Man Far From Home and Homecoming movies would be the Hobgoblin?
No.
I think he wants to be it. I think I read that he wouldn't mind being the Hobgoblin, but I don't know. It's very odd that they chose that name for that character, you know?
Well, the reason Ned Leeds kind of worked was he knew Peter Parker as Betty Grant's ex-boyfriend. So Ned Leeds was never really too friendly with Peter Parker to start with. Leave superhero stuff out of it. However, the Hobgoblin never knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man. So you had that little bit of a tension between them in costume and out of costume, unbeknownst to each other. But it also worked because Ned Leeds was an investigative reporter who tracked down all these rumors and stories about Norman Osborn and eventually found one of Norman Osborn's weapons caches and his journals. So he started reading through. So he was able to get help to recreate the Goblin formula without the insanity effects that it has. And he actually ran experiments on people. That he had a former criminal injected with the Green Goblin formula and monitored him. So this way he could fix the Green Goblin formula when he saw this other guy like cracking down and losing it. So, like I said, the Hobgoblin had some very good connections that I don't think high school student Ned Leeds would have.
Yeah.
You know, but you know what? Also, I'd rather see them in the MCU leave Ned as he is. So Spider-Man has someone to talk to, someone in his downtime that he could pour out his soul to and get the stuff off his chest. A lot of people hated Peter Parker being married to Mary Jane, but Mary Jane served the purpose of something that would ground Peter Parker. Because if all he had was the bad luck of Peter Parker and Spider-Man, he'd eventually crack. He needed somebody to confide in, to get it all out with. And Mary Jane fit that role. So I always thought the marriage was good. It's too bad they did away with it. Supposedly they're kind of undoing One More Day, which would be a good thing nice. In my opinion.
No, I'm just gonna say I love Ned in the MCU, and I love him with Peter. Can't stand Michelle.
Yeah, I know. You have problems with her.
You probably have problems with her too. Maybe not as much as me.
Not as much as you.
But I just think that
even though I liked her a heck of a lot better in Far From Home than I did in Homecoming.
She sucked in both movies. I mean, it's not that she's a bad actress. I think she's good, but just like, I don't know. Let's move on.
All right.
I was going to say, well, of course, I would like to see a Dark Knight Returns, but again, Zack Snyder piecemealed that crap together with Batman v Superman. He even kind of threw in some crap into his Snyder cut of the Justice League, which, again, he's like tempting the fans, like hypnotizing them. It's like, look what I just did. See Batman on the tank? That could be the Dark Knight Returns. Call up Warner Brothers, tweet them, because you want me back. You need me back, But that's one of my favorite books. I would love to see that as an actual thing. I would love to see Michael Keaton maybe as that Bat. Maybe he's a little too old. How old is Keaton? He's got to be in his 60s, I would say. Maybe even.
Yeah.
And Batman was in his 50s, I think, in The Dark Knight Returns.
Oh, I think he was older than that.
You think so?
I think so. He was, I would say, closer into the 60s.
I'll have to look that up. But yeah, he had a heart attack. Well, it was planned, but yeah, you could be right with that one. I would love to see something like that. The other one I was going to say was I like Dark Empire in the comics, but they ruined that too with the Rise of Skywalker. I feel like they piecemeal that too into bringing back the Emperor and the clones and all that crap, The
thing about, I wish they had handled the Return of the Emperor like they did in Dark Empire. Like he had the clones, so he would transfer his essence into a clone, but because he was doing that, the clones would continue to degenerate quicker and quicker. So his power would decay the clones quicker each time, where eventually he would run out of the ability to do that. But it was kind of cool. Like I liked how they had him. What was he? Because he was a clone, he was like green or something. That you could tell he wasn't human, but you had a Palpatine at his prime, fighting Luke Skywalker at his prime. So it was, like I said, it could be a lot of fun. That was still Palpatine, but he wasn't an old guy doddering about. He was He was badass in that.
Yeah, and again, like I didn't mind that Luke Skywalker fought him. Got a problem with Rey fighting him and defeating him for once and for all.
I
Come
will
on.
concede to you there are definite problems with the Rise of Skywalker.
Good.
I have to say, like we talked about, the more I see The Last Jedi, the more I like it. The more I watch Rise of Skywalker, I see that it was hurt more and more by fan service. I think if J.J. Abrams didn't spend so much time apologizing for The Last Jedi, I think we would have seen a very different movie and probably a better one. But there's some parts in repeated viewing that are just a little too
horrible. I mean, the only thing
outright no sense.
The only thing I like in that movie is that battle on the Death Star with Kylo Ren and Rey. You know, that looks pretty nice. But the rest of that movie sucks. Like I think I gave it a 2 or something like that. A very low score. And to me, that's the worst Star Wars movie ever made. And
I would now, after repeated viewings, I would put it towards the bottom.
Wow.
Not the bottom. We all know what the bottom ones are. But there's just certain things like that bit with the dagger.
Yeah.
That you knew the location if you stood on one particular hill on one particular planet, everything lined up when you held the dagger up. It's like, you know, that's just too ridiculous. You know, at first I saw it, first time I saw it, I'm like, oh, all right, whatever. But repeated viewings, I'm like, that is so moronic. Like, how do you know you have to stand at that particular spot looking at that wreckage to see where it points? It's like, all right, the bit with the planet with Kerry Russell, I'm like, this is, like I said,
too late. They should have introduced her in the second one. It would have been more interesting.
Just given her more to do. I think they should have given her more to do. You have a phenomenal actress in your movie, and you didn't use her past, here she is for a little bit, and then she's kind of gone, and then bringing her back in the final battle for a little, hey, how you doing? No,
but that
as you said earlier, fast forward is your friend.
But that bothers me too. She's like, one day I'm going to escape this planet. She's like, she escapes it the day it blows up. Yeah. Oh, all right. Well,
like I said, I definitely concede to your opinions of Rise of Skywalker, but there's still stuff I like in that movie, and that is fun. But fast forward is your friend.
All right. It's good to know that I eventually win all the time. Just joking.
Go that far.
Yeah, I'm just joking with you. All right, let's wrap this one up. So, Jack, can you tell everyone where they can find you?
You can always send your comments, praise, hate mail to jackm@wdwnt.com, and I will endeavor to answer all emails.
And if you want, you can email me at joe@wdwnt.com or send me a friend request on Facebook. Also, if you like our show and enjoy other WDWNT podcasts and would like to become a Patreon supporter, please visit WDWNT's Patreon page at www.patreon.com/WDWNT. And check out Walt Disney World News Today, as well as Universal Parks News Today for all your Disney and Universal news. And please visit the Carousel of Products, where there is a ton of fun WDWNT merchandise on sale.
And while it is not available on our site, please try Traparaka Diet Snapple. It is my favorite flavor. Needs more people buying it, so they keep making it. Thank you.
I didn't even know they still made Snapple.
Yeah, they still make Snapple. And the Traparaka, it's what's his name? Brett Michaels came up with this flavor during his time on the infamous Apprentice. And
Brett Michaels from wrestling?
no, from the musician.
Oh, I think you're confusing him with somebody else.
Shawn
Michaels, I'm thinking of the.
No, not Shawn Michaels. But he came up with a diet Snapple because he's diabetic, and it has a combination of pear, peach, some cinnamon thrown in there. It's simply quite delicious. So tell WDWNT to carry Diet Snapple Troparaca on its carousel products.
They can't do that. But what they do probably have, which I have in my hand, is a WDWNT official pen. I love this pen.
This is my shtick.
Well, I'm just telling you, like, I kept track of everything that we were doing with this pen. And this is my favorite pen. I'm not BSing. I don't know why. I just like it a lot. And it's running out of ink, which sucks.
Now, if it's branded with Nerd Alert, then I would buy one.
Whatever. Finally, please subscribe to the WDWNT Entertainment channel on YouTube, where you can find Nerd Alert and other WDWNT original programming available there. And, if you guys listen to us via audio, I put a ton of pictures up that explains what we're talking about. And I enjoy doing it, but it takes me hours and hours. It's ridiculous how long it takes me, but I have fun doing it. I'm watching TV as I'm doing it, but it's a blast. And you get to see just so many things from the comics and the movies.
Our smiling faces.
And you can see our smiling faces. That's true. Alrighty. So with that, this will be the end of WDWNT Nerd Alert season number 7, episode number 11. So until next time, see ya.
And Jeff, I promised you a shout out, so here it is. Good night, everybody.
That's better late than never.
I know.